In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I edit my drone photos in Lightroom 2020. Before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is a YouTube SEO tool that helps you grow your channel using tags, titles, thumbnails. It's an amazing tool and it's what I've been using to grow this YouTube channel. So definitely check out my link in the description below. And by clicking on it, you'll learn more information and even get a free trial. If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section below, but let's get into the actual topic of the video. So I have some awesome photos of the San Francisco peaks in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I haven't edited them yet, so I figured why not make a video about it. I'm going to show you guys how I go about editing my drone photos. Now, I do a lot of the same things for each time I edit a drone photo, so that's why I figured why not make a video, because I can show you guys like what I do and you can kind of like pick my brain. So let's start with one of the low level ones first. So the first thing I like to do is I like to go down to the bottom here and fix distortion. Now there's barely any distortion in this photo, but I can kind of see some. So I'm just going to pull it back a little bit, and really not much at all, and just leave it at that. And then I'm going to do a constrained crop to get these white pieces out. And I think I want to center this photo a little bit more on the peaks. So I'm going to crop this a little bit so that the peaks are more central. Yeah, that looks good. Now that I've done that, the very next thing I like to do is I like to go down to the Dehaze tool, because dehazing just brings out the colors, the details, and it just makes the photo look better, in my opinion. You know, you really want to gauge it. For something like this, if I do too much, it like looks bad. So I don't want to do too much dehazing. So I'd say maybe at around 30. 30 is a good area to be with this photo. And the mountains do have more sun on them than the foreground here, which is okay. I don't think that's a bad thing. But I am going to try raising the shadows just to see what it does to the picture. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to leave it at around 30. 30 is usually a good number. There's that. I also like to play with contrast a little bit to see what looks good. And we're going to go to temperature and raise the temperature. Oh wow, I think that looks great. With when you raise the temperature, it looks awesome. After we do temperature, let's do some saturation, but not much. And maybe some texture and some clarity. It's probably good. And I'm going to go to the brush tool here, and I'm just going to paint our foreground. So I'm just going to go over it a few times. Make sure that we got everything. And now I'm going to raise the shadows in just the foreground here. It did a little something. Let's try lowering that to maybe, oh, it was a little delayed there. I don't know. Sometimes Lightroom is a little laggy. I'm on Lightroom on my MacBook Pro, so I'm going to leave it at around 50, and I'm going to go up to exposure and try it that way. I don't want to do it too much. I think that that's good. And maybe raise the temperature a little bit more. It's not a bad photo, but to be honest, up here is looking a little bit bright on the mountain. So I'm gonna, and especially these trees right here, so I'm gonna go over this with the brush. You gotta do plus, and then new brush right here. And now I should be able to do it. Yeah, I lowered exposure a little bit. Maybe mess with the highlights here. Maybe lower the highlights. Dehaze. And I've done a lot for this photo. I don't edit all photos like this. I just think there's a lot of different layers of this photo between the sky, the mountains, and the foreground. So this photo is a little bit more advanced than I probably would have wanted for this tutorial, but that's how I edit, you know, the photos. If I see certain parts of them that I want to change, I go in with the brush tool and I change that specific area of the photo. So that looks good, and I'm gonna definitely move on to the next photo now because I don't think there's anything else I can do here. So here's the next photo. Definitely a little bit of distortion. So let's go back up here to our levels tool, go down here and fix that, push it back a little bit, do the constrain crop to get rid of the white. All right, so now that we've done that, I really like this photo and how it's pulled back, and you can see the whole lake in there. I guess if you can even call that thing a lake, it's pretty small. And for this one, I'm just gonna come in on this side a little bit so that the mountains are more center. And I think that that's fine like that. I really would like this in the center, but it's kind of hard to do that because you're not centered with the mountains then, and I feel like the San Francisco peaks there are more of a eye grabber than the pond. So I'm gonna center the peaks instead of the pond. That's just the way I'm thinking of it. And for this, I'm going to go to the Dehaze tool, do some dehazing, and instead of messing with the other things, I'm gonna go right to the brush tool and paint over the dark area here in the foreground and brighten this up. Okay. All right, I've brightened, or I've painted over this area, so now we're gonna actually brighten it up. So we're gonna go to the shadows here, put it at about 50, go up to the exposure, raise that a little bit, and that looks good. I think that that's pretty good. You can see the aspen trees right here. It's an awesome place. Maybe a little bit of dehazing of its own, not so much. Back off of that. And we're definitely gonna warm this up. Yeah, that looks great warmed up. Now we're gonna go to this plus symbol here. That'll allow us to do a new brush, and we're gonna do the middle ground here where the mountain is. Oh, I don't think it worked. It's applying the edits from the foreground as I brush. I don't want that. So we're gonna get rid of that. Hit this plus again. Now I've noticed sometimes it doesn't reset when you do that. So I go here, you know, anywhere else but the brush. Then I return to the brush and I hit the plus again a few more times, and then you look and everything's reset. So now I can do the brush up here, and those edits from the foreground won't return to the middle ground there. All right, so I've brushed that. And now we're gonna do the opposite what we did with the foreground. We're gonna lower the exposure, and we're going to apply some dehazing, not much. Maybe some clarity and some texture so that those mountains really pop. Maybe a little bit of temperature here. so that things just look right in the photo. So yeah, for this photo, I think I'm done. I don't think I want to do anything else. I like how it looks, and maybe the only other thing I do is a little bit of saturation to the foreground. So I can just click into here, go down to saturation. Let's see, if we go all out, it looks way too much if we go all out. So let's do like 30, because that seems to be my safe number for when I'm editing. So 30 it is. Other than that, you know, there's really nothing more I can do here. I think it looks good. Okay guys, I found another drone photo, but this one wasn't quite taken at sunset. This was like golden hour, so just maybe an hour before sunset, maybe a little less than an hour. So you're not going to see like those orange tones in this, but you're definitely going to see some golden light as I edit the photo. Now it's very, very hazy. This is due to the fires that we've been having here in Arizona, as well as probably the California fires taking a toll on our skies as well. So that kind of sucks, but other than that, this is Paradise Valley, Arizona. It's a beautiful part of Arizona, and this was a real estate photo. So I am going to edit this. This has not been edited, and the first thing I'm going to do is fix the distortion, because if you look here, you can barely see it, but the mountains like have like this, like in the middle here, it's slightly pushed up, and that's how I can tell that it's distorted. So if I pull this back and maybe even rotate it just a little bit, not much at all, maybe bring it back a little bit like that, that's probably good. So I'm going to do the constrain crop, and we fix the distortion and it looks more centered. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go up here, actually down here a little bit, to the dehaze tool. We're going to do that right away, and as you can see, as I'm doing that, you can see the glowing sun on these peaks here. It just looks awesome. So I'm also going to adjust temperature and add a little bit of saturation, because there's just so much going on here that you don't really need much saturation because there's just a lot of colors. And I do like to mess with the shadows just to see, it just brings everything out more when I push it to 100. We're also going to do some clarity and some texture. And honestly, that's a done deal right there. That photo's done. Like, I don't think there's anything else I can do. It looks good. The colors are popping out, and it's just my style of photo. I love how it looks. So that's how I'd edit a sunset photo. Let's see if I have an actual sunset here. Okay guys, perfect. I found a sunset. So you can see the glowing orange sun there. We've had some crazy visuals with the sun. I mean, it's this huge orange ball in the sky, literally, like every night. It looks insane. And I have a feeling it has something to do with the fires, but it just looks so cool. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna fix the distortion on this, because the distortion here is horrible. You can see it. Like, if you can't see it, then you must have some distorted photos, because this is a really prominent distortion right here. So we're gonna go and fix that first thing, and we're gonna go down here to distortion, push this back so that it's level, and you can use the grid here to help you find the perfect point. Also, maybe rotate it a little bit so that the left is up a little bit. Sometimes the drone camera can be like not centered. So like I took this with a DJI Mavic 2 Pro, and you know, just I don't know, I've noticed that with drones, like sometimes even though there's a gimbal, the gimbal might not hold the camera like straight. So I'll see it like tilted a little bit to the left or tilted a little bit to the right, and you just go in and fix that easily in Lightroom. So now that we've done that, I'm gonna do constrain crop, and I'm actually going to crop out some of this house down here. So, I mean, that's better. You can still see the house, but it's better. So, first thing is first, I'm going to go down to Dehaze. That's automatically going to bring out that red and orange sky. Look at that. That's awesome. So, I don't want to do too much of it, though, because you'll start to see some graininess if you do too much of it. So, I'm going to leave it at, like, let's see. How does 30 look? That looks good. So we're going to leave it at 30, and we're going to go up to shadows and raise the shadows up to 100, because that's what I do. And you may disagree with that, but I like bringing everything out. And then to fix the dullness to this photo, you just are going to add some warmth and some saturation. Maybe even, let's see, I don't want to do a lot of exposure. Maybe a little bit of vibrance. I like to add a little bit of tint toward the purple side. That brings out the sky colors a little bit more. And definitely some texture and some clarity. And it's done. There's nothing else I want to do here. I like how this looks, and it definitely would look better if we didn't have such a hazy sky and all this smoke, but for what it is, I think it's a great photo. And I've noticed in Lightroom, the photo looks a little bit lower quality, but when I export it, it's going to look amazing. So let's do that actually. Let's export it, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to export this to a JPEG. We're going to do 100%. It's going to be a pretty big file right here, 13.1 megabytes. And we're going to export the photo. And let's export it to downloads. So I'm going to do that real quick. There it is. All right, it's already done. Open this up. And there is the, whoops. And there it is. There is the finished exported photo. I do see some graininess right here to the left, but honestly, that's okay because it's hazy, and what are you going to do? I mean, you could obsess over it and try to fix it, but I'm going to leave it. Well, anyway, guys, that is how I edit my drone photos in Lightroom. I just figured I would do a tutorial to show this process. For any of you that were wondering, I am running Lightroom version 3.2.1 in this specific tutorial. If this video helped you out today, definitely hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you're updated when I create new videos. I also make drone vlogs, drone videos, all types of cinematic video, so this is a really fun channel to be a part of. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to give the video a thumbs up because that will help it rank in the algorithm. And I'll see you guys in the next one.